Welcome back to the Predictable Revenue Podcast. I'm your host, Collin Stewart, and today I'm joined by Ajay Singh. He's the co-founder and CEO over at Pepsales, and we're going to talk product market fit. Before we jump in, this episode is brought to you by Predictable Revenue's founder coaching program. Founders, let's be real. Scaling a company is tough. You're juggling product, revenue, hiring, and a million other things. Like Ajay and I were just talking about, on any given day, you probably have 100 hours of work to do, and you could probably choose the 4 or 5 that you actually want to get done. Our founder coaching program helps you, whether you're trying to find your first customers or fine tune your go-to-market. We help you build a business that's going to scale predictably with the help of people that have been there and done that before. So if you're interested, link in the description. Welcome to the Predictable Revenue Podcast, where sales leaders teach you what's working for them so you can build it yourself. AJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Colin. And it's a pleasure to be here. A big fan of your podcast. I think a lot of my learnings have come from your podcast. So happy to be here contributing from my side now.
Cool. I don't know if I've been on a podcast where I was an active listener. I imagine that's got to be a weird one. I want to get into kind of the history. Talk to me about where did the idea of Pepsales come from?
That's a great question, Colin, and keep it short. Just quickly a background on myself. So I have about 18 years of experience in the industry, mostly into sales, marketing, growth, and product kind of roles. So when we started Pepsales AI, me and my co-founder, we were sure of one thing. We wanted to build an AI platform for sales teams. Trust me, that's the only one thing that we were sure of. Other than that, everything, we had to figure it out. So the first thing that we did, in fact, before we wrote a single line of code, for the first 4 months or 5 months, we were just talking to people. We were talking to sales leaders, founders, chief revenue officers. We spoke to a lot of account executives, SDRs, solution consultant, everybody under the sun. So we used to do cold outreach to people and say that, hey, we are planning to build something of this sort, but we want to speak with you. And I remember that in those 4 months or so, I think we would have done, or we would have met, I think, more than 200 people across a spectrum of 80 B2B SaaS companies. And, that's where, all of this came from. Honestly, I think we kept on asking people, what are the challenges that you're facing? And everybody kept on talking about how difficult it has become to sell the software, right? They're able to sell the software, but it's just taking so much time, long sales cycle. And we were like, okay, this is sort of the pattern that we kept on hearing, long sales cycle. And we're like, okay, tell us more about this, And then there were some people, Colin, who had actually cracked the code. They had to coach their reps on the early parts of the sales process, which is your discovery calls, introduction calls, demo calls, rather than, pricing and negotiation and POC kind of calls. And that was super interesting for us. And I think that's where, we realized that, the early part of the sales process is the foundation of your deal, right? And very well, right? The foundation is weak. The house is going to be very weaker, right? So I think that's where we narrowed down in this problem and by listening to people. And we have now built Pepsales AI Discovery Copilot, which is the name of the platform that we have. And you can guess from the name itself, Discovery Copilot, it is focused on improving the discovery process. And it's a copilot which joins you in every meeting that you do with your customers, with your prospects. So, that's where, the idea came from.
100 interviews is wild. And not in a, wow, you overdid it kind of way. In the most people talk to 5 or 10 and they're like, okay, I'm going to go build something. Why go so deep? Did you not find anything? Did it just take you longer? Were you looking for a deeper opportunity? I'm curious. Or did you just know that this is the right way to do it?
I think because we had experience in building products before and obviously, a lot of successful ventures and a lot of failures. We were trying to figure out a pattern, right? And sometimes, you need to talk to a lot of people. So we did it in a slightly structured format, Colin. So there was a method behind the madness. The first thing that we were very clear on is that we are going to focus on B2B SaaS companies because they are selling technical product, right? But then we said, let's talk to all the persona and let's talk to all the type of the companies so that when we do these interviews, not only we should understand that whether this is the idea that we want to build upon, but we should also figure out our ICP. So that's the reason why we did so many interviews. And from that cohort, then we figured out, interesting part, which is going to come later is we thought we figured out. And then again, some surprises came.
Interesting. So what was the first insight that you saw? What was the first thing that you thought, hey, this is there's something here?
Yeah. We built our first MVP, and at that time, we somehow started talking to big enterprises because they were like really fascinated about the idea and the solution that we had from that cohort. The MVP was very simple. You come and upload your sales transcript, right? So the meeting that you did, put that into our system, and our system will tell you the insights from that conversation. It will also tell you based on the pain points that got discussed in that meeting, what are the features of your product that you should demo, and then it will also create a demo for you. So that was our MVP, and we were talking to large companies, and we built that very quickly. My co-founder is just amazing. He's the CTO. He's amazing from that perspective. We figured out two things. One is the enterprises were interested, but we realized that it's going to take us 6 months to sell to them, right? Because they're going to talk to the person that we're talking to is going to talk to somebody else. That person has to talk to somebody else. And then there's going to be legal, finance, procurement, and all of that. So we're like, okay.
If somebody says the word RFP, you turn and run
Yeah,
the opposite direction.
exactly. So that is one thing that became very clear to us, that we should focus on the companies which are, let's say, 100 to 500 employees or 100 to 1,000 employees range, which are, early stages of growth, building the product, selling it very fast, hyper growth, the hyper growth B2B SaaS companies. And second is from the MVP, we realized that, the magic was when people were putting the call transcript and they were getting the insights, and they were getting the insight in terms of, how did the call go? And it was just an MVP, it was not like a full-fledged solution. So then we realized, okay, let's double down on that. And that's where, two things became very clear. We're going to focus on early stage B2B SaaS companies. We're going to focus on like head of sales, VP of sales, director of sales as our persona. And we're going to build a discovery co-pilot, which is going to help, their reps do a better discovery, and also to sales leaders to get a better visibility on their pipeline, health, and on the reps performance and things like that. So that's where, these things came out.
Interesting. I'm curious, how did you think about competition? Because there have been lots of companies in the space. We don't need to name names or go into details, but I think 4 or 5 of their note takers showed up here to record this call, which I rejected them from. Um, this was a problem that some would say had been solved before, and yet you interviewed all these folks and you still thought you saw something. And so help me understand what you saw and like what you saw the competition do and however you saw that.
I think the whole space of sales automation, intelligence, RevOps is obviously crowded. But I have a joke. If you want to feel happy, you should look at marketing automation, because that's even more crowded, right?
Yeah.
So, but there is a reason why there are so many tools exist, because there are so many problems out there. There are different kind of companies at different stages, right? So, we're building an AI product using other AI products, right? So fast, right? One place where we found the gap was that the legacy players, because they started focusing on enterprise, they started building more complex product, a lot of bells and whistles. We actually asked people that, what do you use that software for? And they were like, yeah, because, it helps me to record the call. And I was like, okay, that Zoom also does, why do you need that?
Yeah.
And then we started talking, okay, how do you do this? How do you do that? And they were doing a bunch of that stuff outside those software. So we realized that, okay, if we focus on the companies which are doing B2B sales, but they are selling a technical product, and we go deeper into that segment and we try to solve things at deeper level, build, some science around the art of sales, I think we have something there, right? And that's where, today we have some customers who are using some of those legacy platforms and switch to us.
I love that there was like lots of space, and I totally get it. When you look at a big market, and take Salesforce as an example, the higher up they go in selling more and more enterprise deals, there's the theory that you can only, and I can't remember the name of it, you can only cover like a certain band of customers, right? And your features, your priorities is going to be dictated in the features you ship. And Salesforce's features for a very long time have been, their focus has been enterprise customers, which means CRM kind of, to pick up that bottom part of the market, it created a bit of a gap. And so I think the same thing is what you're saying is, there were all these other competitors that have been in the space for 10 years, but they were charging $300-400 a seat. I'm like, I personally am not going to pay $300 a seat for a tool that just records my calls.
And not just the pricing. I'll give you a small example. When we were talking to sales leaders, we noticed that the good sales leaders, they follow a sales methodology, right? So whether it is BANT or MEDIC, MEDPIC, sin selling, whatever you have. We also noticed a pattern that every sales leader wants to build their sales process and follow their sales methodology, right? They want to do things in that way, right? Now, there's no software, at least that we, realized during our research, which, works for the sales leaders by making sure that, you keep your sales process, you keep your sales methodology, and I am going to build my software around your process and around your methodology. And that's where, we started from. We support every sales methodology that you want to follow. We will customize our system. And the output is that now your sales process, your sales methodology, and your sales conversations, all three are aligned with each other. And our product has to support you. Our software has to work for you. You don't need to work for our software to come and update something or edit something or change something and things like that. It should be completely customized and configurable for you. So those are the kind of, deeper things that we are doing today. Sales leaders, appreciate us for.
I love I'm a big fan of opinionated software. I know your application of this is a little bit different. You went to sales leaders and said, hey, let me build your methodology, and you can do that in Pepsales. Yeah. When I was pivoting from Voltage to Carb, the Voltage was the dud of a CRM that only had one customer, to Carb that went eventually 0 to $1 million in 3 months. The thing that we were thrashing around looking for was, I mean, you would call them influencers now, sales authors and thought leaders that had these established methodologies, because we wanted to take something like BANT or ANIM or MEDPIC or whatever and build a tool around it to support that. We talked to a lot of different sales leaders, and the person we got the most interest from was Aaron Ross, the guy who wrote Predictable Revenue, that popularized the cold email. And cold email kind of, I don't know, method of reaching customers. And we thought, wow, we've read his book. We're using this methodology. This seems like a natural fit, because there was kind of low information out there. There were no tools at the time. Like SalesLoft was still doing their SalesLoft Navigator, not SalesLoft, what was it called? I think it was just called SalesLoft. It wasn't Cadence. Like the tool that is now called SalesLoft was called Cadence, and SalesLoft used to be this tool where you could go get emails from LinkedIn. Anyway, so yeah, that's how I ended up starting or pivoting from. That was the insight, and was like, hey, let me find a sales thought leader and I'll build their methodology into my tool. I love that you're taking that to the extreme for every one of your customers.
I think the future of the software is a personalized software. It has to work in your ecosystem according to your needs. Obviously, it needs to have best practices there, right? So, and that's where, we become helpful, right? So the challenges that we keep on hearing the most from the sales leaders are the biggest one is the long sales cycle and low win rate. Everybody is struggling with that. The second challenge that they have is, lack of visibility on their pipeline. So you're losing some money on the table there, right? There are some blockers in those deals that somehow, the rep is not able to address them, right? And third is related to forecasting, right? You need to have that kind of forecast accuracy, and so that you can work backwards and figure out, okay, let's generate more pipeline. And the last one is the CRM hygiene, right? Look, I have been in sales long enough. I hate updating the CRM, right? I think there's no salesperson who would say that, yeah, I love updating my CRM, right? So those are the kind of challenges that we hear, and our intention has always been to solve those challenges by making sure that you're not getting a software where you're trying to figure things out. This is a software which is built for you, for your sales process, for your reps, for your methodology that you want to follow, with the best practices, so that things can be automated for you.
I love that. Now, we started with 200 interviews. You built a MVP, and then you had to kind of pivot that MVP, and that kind of gets you to where we are here. Did you have paying customers on the first version on that MVP, and then have to kind of, what happened there? Did you signed up some customers, you got them there? How long between V1 and V2, or like Vision 1 and Vision 2 was it, and like what inspired the transition?
I think the timelines might be slightly blurred because the transition of this V1 and V2 and all those things are not very clear.
Life, that's understandable.
Life, that's, you don't know when you're pivoting, that's the thing. From the beginning, we had design partners, right? So we had design partners with whom we were building the product. We were charging them as well. As soon as we built the MVP, they were customers who were paying for it. But more than the money, I think we were always thinking that, hey, are we solving the right problem or not? Are we solving it in the right way or not? And we were trying to discover all of that. I think that's where things started clicking in. And I believe that revenue is always important, but I think in the beginning stage, you need to do a lot of controlled experiments to figure out how, like, what's 2 years, 5 years gonna down the line is gonna look like for you, for your business, right?
Hmm.
Rather than when we did a pivot from enterprise to mid market or small companies, we realized that we were losing some money on the table, right? But then we realized that we are at a stage where we want the speed of execution, right? We want to work with those companies which are agile, which are very fast, which are modern platforms, recently started, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, newer companies, right?
Yeah.
Because
Better
those are the kind
momentum
of
for sure.
companies, yeah, because those are the companies they want to uh, get the new product in their hand because they are also competing with somebody who is a leader on the G2 quadrant and they have ambition to, break that, right? So we got to our, 10 customers in the new model, in the new pivot. And I think we started seeing those signs of PMF. I would not say things have become very streamlined and very easy, far from it, but you can sense it. You can, feel that, things are going in the right direction.
Yeah. What was the shift in feeling? Like what was it that made you say, you know what, we got to do something different?
Yeah, I think it was one thing. We wanted to solve that problem for which people will not just pay the money, but they will pay money to us faster. They want to make
Mm,
quick decision. Yeah, this is the
right.
problem that I want to solve. I've been trying to solve this. They get that aha moment. Yeah,
Where they lean in. They're like, wait,
yeah.
what? Then let me see that again. And so we talked about kind of your first customers. You had these kind of stage one, stage two, you made the pivot. Where did your first customers come from after you made a pivot or adjustment or, you kind of
Hmm.
changed your focus a little bit?
Yeah, this is a very important question because every founder, right, no matter how experienced you are, that's the journey that you have to go through to find your first customer, right? First few customers. I'll tell you the conventional wisdom that I read, heard, in every book and podcast and whatnot is tap your family and friends, tap your network, things like that. And
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. It's just that we did not follow that. We did not follow that on purpose. Maybe we were slightly stupid, but we wanted to do it slightly the hard way. Because as I said, we were just focused on long-term view, right? We had a very, very long-term view. So like if you're my friend Colin, I mean, if I ask you to, use my product, you will probably use
Mhm.
it just for my sake, maybe you'll pay me for some money for that as well because of our history or whatever, right?
I've got a couple
Um,
tools that I've paid for in the past and might still be paying for because I know the founders and we're buddies.
Yeah, which is and nothing wrong with it, right? So we just didn't want to
Mhm.
get that bias into the systems. From the day one, we decided that we're gonna do cold outreach. That's all fine, right? That's the approach that we followed, and that's what, gave us our first few customers, people who had a real problem. They did not know us. The beautiful part of it, Colin, is that not only we were able to sell to them, but also now we have the entire funnel with us, all of those things in place because we have done it in that way. And again, I don't suggest it to everybody because it's you try to do everything that makes sense for you and works for you. But that's the approach
Mhm.
that we followed, just the old school way of selling.
It's interesting. The question I typically try and ask is like, where do your first customers come from and where do your next customers come from? And the typical answers are from our network. And then we kind of got stuck and then we had to figure out go-to-market channel. You just skip that.
Yeah,
You're like, I'm going to go
yeah,
right to it. And so there is no next customers. You just kept doing more and more of the same, which to your point is playing the game on hard mode. But I'd probably do the same. I don't know. Unless I've got Uncle VP of Sales who's like the perfect candidate, which I don't.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I probably do the same.
yeah.
Describe for me the moment where you realized you might have product market fit here.
I remember very well. And again, I don't know whether we had PMF at that time or not, but there are moments, right? So, and as a founder, you'll always remember those moments because at that time, you just don't know whether this is it or not. I remember, we were very small at that point of time. We were, just few customers, right? And, around 11 a.m. or somebody called us up, like one of our customers called us up and he said, hey, your system is down, it's not working. And I was like, okay. And we were both looking at each other and we're like, shit, man, our system is not working. What's happening? And then,
Panic.
we checked it out and, we tried to do something. And like, I think it took us like 5-10 minutes or whatever, and it was up again. Right. And then we said, hey, sorry. And, we'll make sure that, it will not happen. We have done the RCA. We figured out what the bug is and blah, blah, blah. And then we were like, somebody is using our system, and they called us up and they said, your system is down. So
Amazing.
we have somebody who's actually, hooked to our system. So that was one moment. Now we are having these moments almost like every week, I would say, with our prospective customers where, they will come in the meeting and they will start opening up by themselves. And they will start, opening by themselves. The day that your prospect meetings stop feeling like a sales meeting where you're trying to pitch something to them, and it starts feeling like a conversation where you're talking as if, like a therapist kind of a thing where people are opening up to you. I think those are the kind of moments that we're having now, and it feels like, things are being pulled from our hands.
I love that. It's
Yeah.
the market of is that feeling of it just extracting the product from you, whether you like it or not. So AJ, what comes next?
I think it's going to be a long journey, and we are very excited, Colin, about a couple of things. There are 3 new products inside the platform that we are just launching. We have given it to our first customers, and they are loving it. It's pipeline intelligence, rep performance, and the third one is voice of prospect. I think that's the feature which is being loved the most. It is helping them drive not only the sales but the product and the marketing together. So those are the kind of products which we are going to launch very soon, which is something that we're very excited about. We're building a couple of AI agents right now who can do things on your behalf. I think that's a very evolving hot topic right now. So we are trying to make something which is like truly valuable, because I have also personally used a lot of AI agents, and what the promise is versus what the delivery is not really that great. So we want to make sure that we do something exciting there. We have just got our SOC 2 Type 2 compliance certification. We are just 6-7 months in the game, and we got that one. Obviously, a lot of sleepless nights behind that in making sure that we go through all the audits and everything. So that's very exciting. So yeah, a lot of exciting work is happening, and I think our biggest energy is coming from, we are sitting with our customers in their pipeline reviews. We are being invited to sit with them, right? And that's, nothing can, beat that excitement when you are part of, somebody's growth story and they're counting on you to get their numbers, So those are the exciting parts.
That's really great. If people want to learn more about Pepsales, they want to check out the product, or they want to get in touch with you and ask a question or get more clarity on something, what's the best way for them to learn about Pepsales and reach out to yourself?
Yeah, so our website, pepsales.ai. Cheetah is our mascot, cool looking sunglass wearing cheetah, baby cheetah. That's our mascot. So if you go to our website, you'll always remember that. Along with that, I am 24/7 living on LinkedIn. Anytime search Ajay Singh Pepsales and I'll show up. LinkedIn is where I talk the most. I'm always there. That's where all the conversations are happening. Yeah.
Well, AJ, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story. It's been a pleasure to get a chance to learn a little bit more about you and Pepsales.
Thank you so much, Colin, and pleasure is all mine. I hope I was able to contribute something back to your podcast from where I learned a lot of stuff myself. So thank you so much for giving me time.
Absolutely. Thanks again. And thanks to everybody for listening. We'll catch you all next time.